No, and he's still learning, you know. So even though a lot of the values that he has already installed unconsciously in his mind, he will still learn, and he will still learn as he goes through. And different elements or environments will have different impacts on potentially the way he goes forward.
So for people who don't know what NLP is, could you just give a brief overview of what NLP does and what it stands for?
Yeah, so NLP is neuro-linguistic programming, and really it's talking about how we can talk to our unconscious mind. So unconsciously, our mind and brain links to our body, and it'll tell you to hold a cup of coffee or to talk or to walk or to do things which we just don't even think about. Unconsciously, your mind is working then with the body to do that. And it's then how we can use that sort of process to then, if there's something which you have a limiting belief or a thought process which you want to change, how we can do that. And this is where the NLP will come into that. Is looking at those maybe limiting beliefs or self-doubts or what's stopping you from going and achieving something that you want to achieve. And it's what language you use and the thought process behind that and the beliefs. And most of the beliefs that we have or the values that we have are installed in our mind before the age of 7.
Wow, okay.
So then you have different areas. Then you've got 7, say 14, you get your values from your peers, and 21, where you might get them from maybe a pop star or something like that. And then, it goes into various stages.
Yeah.
And yes, you can change your values, but then it's depending on, are those the right values for what you want to achieve? So it's understanding all around the sort of the unconscious mind, which is how we can amend that to fit what we want to do.
It's really interesting that you said the age, because that sparked something with a video that I saw a while back, and it was to do, I can't remember the person's name, but he was a professor and he was giving his speech to an audience, and one of the things that he said is that parents need to stop worrying about micromanaging and controlling their children, because he said once they get to the age of 8, they're pretty much on their way.
Yeah.
And he said the best thing that you can do is just make sure that they're in the right environment.
That's right.
So it's really interesting, because as soon as you said that, I was just like, someone else have said it. I know it's true. And it's one of the things I worry about with my own child, because my child has turned 8 and he's going to be 9 now next week. And it's scary in one sense, because he's already on the track to be the person he's going to be. And the best thing that I can do is just nurture that forward, make sure he's in the right environment. But trying to change him now wouldn't be the right thing for me to do.
No, and he's still learning.
Yes.
So even though a lot of the values that he has already installed unconsciously in his mind, he will still learn, and he will still learn as he goes through. And different elements or environments will have different impacts on potentially the way he goes forward.
So with that in mind then, given that a lot of the stuff is set by the time that we get to the age of 7, is a lot of that, like with stress, anxiety and fear, is that all down to trauma that perhaps the child has experienced up until that age, and then it manifests and it just grows with them as time goes on? So it might be something silly, but as they get older, it goes into procrastination because of the fear of never being good enough to do something. So they procrastinate, so they never have to complete it.
And the triggers, so there will be triggers. So certain triggers, and something may not be trauma, but it could be something that happened in your childhood, and your memory will link certain events together. And as they link in the events together, the first event then potentially will be before your age of 7. So certain things then potentially might happen then during the life sort of lifespan of that person. And as the memory links it together, then the trigger then will go back to that first memory. So it could be that first memory, and it may not be trauma, it might be just something which happened, in the childhood, or could be in school. But that then may have a restricting impact on that person to what, that person might do later on in life.
And it's really weird, because as parents, we always assume that it's trauma that is the way that the person is, but it could be something so inconsequential
Yeah.
that as a parent, you would never notice.
Or it may have been somewhere in school, or you may not even know about it. So yes, it doesn't necessarily have to be a trauma.
And sorry, sometimes my mind goes off and starts thinking, and then I gotta like try and rein myself back in. But I'm just thinking about my own child and some of the things that, the mannerisms and the things that he does, because there's certain things that he'll do
Yeah.
that I know that I've never instilled in him to be so fearful of doing something. Like, he's really scared of certain things, and I'm just like, where's that come from? Because it's not something that I've instilled, and it's not something his mother's instilled. So it's really interesting, because we will have conversations and I'm like, well, why is he doing this? And why is he, and it could be something in school that we're not even aware of.
Not even aware of. It could be something on TV that he's watched.